Good evening. This is the call to order of the regular Board of Aldermen meeting at the Salado Municipal Building at 301 North Stagecoach Road, Salado, Texas. The date is February 6, 2025, and the time is 6:30 p.m. Mr. De La Rosa, please call the roll.
Mayor, you have a quorum, all are present.
Thank you, sir. As we begin this Board of Aldermen meeting, let us take a moment to reflect on our shared commitment to serve the diverse community of the Village of Salado. We invite all present, regardless of faith, belief, or philosophy, to join us in a spirit of unity, respect, and compassion. May our deliberations be guided by wisdom, our decisions rooted in fairness, and our actions driven by the common good. Whether you find inspiration in a higher power, the bonds of humanity, or the wonders of nature, let us work together to build a culture where every voice is heard and every individual is valued. Just take a moment, please. Okay, thank you. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance and salute to the Texas flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the flag, I pledge allegiance to the United States of God, one indivisible.
You guys come on. Officer Furton, come on up here, please. All right, we got two awards here for Officer Furton. Everybody hear this? Resolution, whereas Officer Edward Furton of the Salado Police Department has distinguished himself through his life-saving actions in response to two recent emergency incidents. And whereas on November 11, 2023, Officer Furton was called to a truck stop in Salado to investigate a reported overdose. Upon arrival, he and a fellow officer discovered an unconscious individual who was determined to be suffering from fentanyl intoxication, and Officer Furton immediately administered Narcan and began performing CPR in an effort to restore the victim's pulse. Thanks to Officer Furton's swift and decisive efforts, the individual regained consciousness after the arrival of emergency medical personnel and ultimately survived. And whereas just 6 months later, on May the 24th, 2024, Officer Furton was the first to respond to a major collision involving a pickup truck and a semi-truck. Though one of the occupants of the pickup had been killed, Officer Furton immediately aided a second occupant who was critically injured, applying 2 tourniquets to control blood loss from the individual's arm and leg. His calm response helped reassure the victim, who was subsequently transported to a hospital to undergo successful surgery. And whereas Officer Edward Furton demonstrated exceptional dedication to duty during 2 crisis situations, and through his heroic efforts, he has exemplified the finest qualities of those who are sworn to serve and protect. Now, therefore, it be resolved that Officer Edward Furton be commended for his life-saving actions and that he be extended sincere best wishes for continued success with his important work. Signed, Pete Flores, State Senator, District 24, State of Texas. And the second. Certificate of recognition. This certificate is proudly presented to Officer Edward Furton in recognition of his outstanding service and dedication as the 2024 Village of Salado Police Officer of the Year. Officer Furton has demonstrated exceptional commitment to community policing, fostering strong relationships with citizens and business owners alike. His proactive engagement has significantly enhanced the safety and well-being of our community. In addition to receiving 2 life-saving awards, Officer Ferdinand was recently awarded the Law Enforcement Commendation Medal for outstanding performance. He has consistently shown the ability to handle the most challenging situations with the utmost level of pride, professionalism, and attention to detail. His exemplary performance and unwavering dedication to duty have made a profound impact on the Village of Salado and the surrounding community. Presented this 6th day of February 2025, Chief Alan Fields and Burt Henry, Mayor, Village of Salado. Okay, item 2, public comments. The Board of Aldermen welcomes comments from citizens on issues and items of concern not on the agenda. Those wishing to speak must sign in before the meeting begins and observe a 5-minute time limit when addressing the board. Speakers will have 1 opportunity to speak during this time period. Speakers desiring to speak on the agenda item will be allowed to speak when the agenda item is called. Inquiries about matters not listed on the agenda item will either be directed to staff or placed on a future agenda item for Alderman consideration. First up, we have Ms. Bev Turnbow. Sure.
Good evening. My name is Bev Turnbow, and I reside at 349 Collegeville Drive in Salado. On November 7, 2024, the BOA considered proposed ordinance 2024-23, which would amend section 2.2 of the zoning ordinance entitled Planning and Zoning Commission. Thanks to Alderman Bell's motion, a decision on that ordinance was tabled until sometime in January 2025. Since November 7, 2024, this proposed ordinance has not been included on any BOA agenda and is overdue for action. My remarks are being made to you tonight so you will consider this proposal in its proper perspective whenever it is reintroduced, if it is. There are 4 problems with the proposed ordinance. First, the proposal to amend section 2.2 attempts to restrict and control the Planning and Zoning Commission, and I'll call that the Commission, by eliminating its primary duties and responsibilities. As noted in your handout, entire sections of the current regulations have been deleted in the proposed ordinance in violation of Texas State Code 211.007 A, B, and C, including the following. The powers and duties of the Commission as authorized in section 2.2F. Procedures on zoning hearings authorized in 2.2G. Authorizing joint hearings with the BOA in section 2.28. And section 2.2E, specific language authorizing the Commission to regulate subdivisions and ETJs. The second problem with the proposed ordinance is even more condemning. State law in 211.007 A and B requires that the Commission recommend appropriate zoning regulations for each district, make preliminary reports, hold public hearings, and then submit a final report to the Board of Aldermen with the Commission's recommendations. State code specifically stipulates that, quote, the governing body may not take action on the matter until it receives the final report of the Zoning Commission. Again, that's in section 211.007 A and B. The proposed changes to section 2.2 of the zoning ordinance were not brought before the commission, nor were the required public hearings held. The BOA also violated state laws, and the BOA made a decision on October 3rd, 2024, to disapprove a draft of a proposed West Side Overlay Ordinance, and again on January 2nd, 2025, when the BOA voted to approve text changes to the signage ordinance. The BOA made these decisions without involving the commission, having the statutorily required public hearings, and getting final reports from the commission. The third problem is how vacant positions on the commission are filled. Up till this point in time, and since the commission's origins, when a commission position becomes available, any interested resident in Salado can apply. The BOA would review the applications and vote on candidates based on their qualifications or qualifications for the positions or their particular attributes. In the proposed ordinance, each alderman would be entitled to select anyone of his or her own choosing, whether qualified or not, giving the BOA even more control over the commission. In addition, the proposed ordinance states that the village administrator has control over the commission's agenda. The commission should be allowed to set its own agenda so it can develop new ideas and approaches to issues facing Salado, input youth, and the whole village needs. In summary, this administration has disregarded and disparaged the commission by not allowing it to perform the duties and responsibilities required in both state law and our local zoning ordinance. I ask that corrective action be taken to ensure that we are in compliance with state and local law, and to allow the commission to function in accordance with state statutes. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Turnbow. Charles Simmons.
Simmons, 272 Salado, Texas. In the town hall, you all said that you were too busy to deal with advisory boards and commissions, and yet advisory boards and commissions are a very valuable tool of this sort, and you definitely need. You've made it clear that you don't want outside opinions because you terminated those advisory boards, and now you propose and you favor limiting the mandated duties of the Planning and Zoning Commission by state statute. More specifically, you proposed in your 2024 zoning ordinance amendment elimination of current duties in section 2.2E, F, and G of the Village Ordinance 21308. In particular, 2.2F2 says that the Planning and Zoning Commission shall make recommendations regarding amendments to the comprehensive plan, changes of zoning, and zoning ordinance amendments. However, your proposal to remove these powers of the Planning and Zoning Commission would violate Texas Local Government Code 211.007A, which states, the Commission shall recommend boundaries for the original zoning district and appropriate zoning regulations of each district. Further, your proposal allows the village administrator to set the agenda of the Planning and Zoning Commission. There's several bad reasons to do this, that you shouldn't do this for. To restrict the agenda of the Planning and Zoning Commission prevents valuable independent ideas and recommendations and task forces of the Zoning Commission. And to set the agenda of the Planning and Zoning Commission contrary to the Planning and Zoning Commission request would restrict duties to which the Planning and Zoning Commission is mandated by Texas law. This is a violation of Texas law. The village administrators are not, nor the mayor, are members of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and it is a body set by statute with that specific mandate, and non-members should not control it so long as it works within statutory mandate. You previously tabled the proposal, then at the town hall last week you said you denied it. Regardless, enacting the proposal would be a loss of valuable input to the village of Salado, a loss of a resource to which the overworked BOA should designate work, and a violation of Texas law. You should vote to deny any proposal that limits the expertise, input, and powers of the planning commission.
Anybody else? Come on up, Ms. Lasker.
If I heard everything correct, I think I did, and those two people, I think there's a lot of I would go and listen to that and consider as we move forward. The past is the past. And I think all of us would like to move forward on a more favorable basis, you know, particularly some of the planning commission members that still exist. I regret that two of our members have resigned in the last year, and I won't speak for them other than that's a fact. Truth and honesty is very important, and I know that. And I think along those lines, open communication is key. And Bert, Mayor, I think it's extremely important as the leader of this community that you do listen to people, both adversarial and proponents of you. I, for one, can say I think you've done some very good things along with this board. I think there's some things that I find question. But going back, I asked to speak with you shortly after I called and asked you if you would return my phone call shortly after your election to the mayor's position. Well, actually, Jennifer gave you a message that I'd like to talk to you. You know, you haven't called me back, even though I brought it up numerous times to you from this podium here. And I don't really understand why. I don't think I've done anything wrong to you. I don't think I've done any wrong on behalf of the city of the planning commission. I think we have tried to do what's best for us. And as a mayor, I think I'm not much on titles, quite frankly, but I am chairman of the planning commission, and I have been for a year and a half, just a short time. But if you were in my situation or my shoes rather than yours, what would you think? And you don't want to talk. You talk about the future of Salado. We can agree on something you said at the town hall the other night. My heart's as big as yours for Salado. We may have different views in some respects. I'm sure we do. But my heart is every bit as big as yours. And I mean that. I've served on numerous committees along the way to try and help it. Anyway, I would just like to understand that, but more importantly, I'd like, with what time I have remaining, to have some open communication with you and the board about the planning commission duties and what they do. I think trying to curtail it is disingenuous in terms of the overall benefit of Salado, and I truthfully and wholly can state that every one of these people that I've been on the planning commission has the best interest in their opinion that makes this good for Salado. So I ask you that. There's 3 or 4 months left on my position, whatever that is, and I'd ask you just to listen. I will remind you and other people that are here in the audience, we are only an advisory committee. We can't harm you. We can't make a decision. We can put forth items whether you agree with or don't agree with, but at least put them on the table for discussion. And that's what a democracy should really be about. I agree you're the leader. I agree that you won the election. but it's also important to hear from people that don't necessarily see everything that you do as the right thing or the best thing. And so I ask you, with 20 seconds left, are you willing to do that? To show us that, to give the planning commission the respect that it should be. There's decades of experience you could draw on. And with the commission members leaving, I thank y'all for listening to me. Appreciate the 2 years here and hope for the best in the future here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lassiter. Anybody else?
Jim Boynton, 3565 FM 2843 Salado. I'd like to give you the other side of the coin here. I've been the recipient for years of abuse of our committees. I was turned down on houses to be built one time because the piece of property I bought was going to be deemed historical because it was the first property surveyed in the county of Belton. A lot of times our boards are adversarial and have been all along. Just like when McDonald's came in and all this problem came up with the signage. I think they made a legitimate mistake. But to hear how they're treated up here in the public by one of our commissions is really sad. And I've received that before myself. I've told others. I've built 5 houses in this time, and I had to get an attorney to threaten to sue the mayor and the city manager on all 5. The holdups and the power play that some of these people have are phenomenal. They think they're attorneys. They think what they say ought to go over anything else. One of the reasons we've had so many problems in this town is there's too many people that want to have the planning and zoning committee rubber stamp their deal because they are somebody. And then there's people like me that come up on the other side and get to beat to death by bringing up laws that they think they need to enforce that have nothing to do with it. I know y'all are in a difficult position, but this is a case where they used to say in the old days, the tail's trying to wag the dog. I hope you stick to your guns and try to get everything lined up so people that want to work with the city council and want to work with the city manager and anybody building something, get people that want to work together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boyd. Anybody else? These microphones on. You don't hear this in the back? All right. Number 3, consent agenda. A, approval of the minutes of January 16, 2025, regular Board of Aldermen meeting. Mr. Rose, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yes, sir, I do.
Alderman Graham, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Alderman Hurst?
No question.
Alderman McDonald?
No questions, Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem Bell? Any public comments on the consent agenda? Nope. I'll open it up for a motion at this time.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Hurst to approve the consent agenda as presented and seconded by Alderman Graham. Any further discussion?
Question.
Question called by Alderman McDonald. All in favor of approving the consent agenda as presented, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? Mr. De La Rosa, I guess? Number 4, discuss and consider possible action regarding any item removed from the consent agenda. There are none. Number 5, Village Administrator's report. Mr. De La Rosa, it's yours.
Mayor and Alderman, I wanted to bring you up to date on the Williams Road sidewalk project. You'll see that there's an email from Daniel Davila with TechStop and the Rural Street Improvement Project. So, the site on here is Mill Creek, but that's been had by TechStop. is, if I can at least work with procurement documents between now and May, and if we're good to go, and we'll maybe in there after we get out of that. Because remember, it's 100% reimbursable, but you have to spend the money and then wait for TechDOT to reimburse it. The sidewalk, William, Village sidewalk project, we're taking up under agenda item 6A, Dr. Tex, make a sure to speak on that. And, but you see that we've got an extension. We've got enough time to, we've got to do the clearance, environmental. The environmental cost is little, it's $10,000 or $13,000, which I believe the MRB, anticipated in cost, as much as $40,000, which is what the environmentals are gonna be for royalties. Because of the parks, the school district has performed an environmental study for their two types of land and those types of living place, so we're hoping that TechDOT will accept that. The school district also that and keep our costs down and make it move forward. But you'll see that everything goes to, that we need to at least get a lot of people in that 2025. We believe that with the item 6A, the funding will be there, and we can keep moving forward. Royal Street, June of 2026. Again, after May 2025 elections, and we determine what our financial position is at that time. Then we'll determine whether we move forward with Royal Street or we would keep that. The next thing I wanted to bring up was there was a question or a statement made about the escrow funds. They were already segregated by the lifetime you asked for the conversation that email communication from legal that there's no conversation. I have segregated it. See, all of those whose playground account is closed down, so he needs to fence in there. So they're not in operating fund, so it's in there. And we have decided that you won't see it if most time it's worth it to get you more. But that account is going to be tight. So, but they have been segregated, all the funds are in there. Because it's a specific account. So, very specifically, it's not in the operating the part, and you have to very specifically go into that. Okay. Now, just that you'll see the financials in there, just that next time you see the finances, everybody pays their taxes. And part of this segregation of the funds, based on the town hall meeting, we know that we're going to probably have to pay back about $550,000 if the petition passes. Mm-hmm. So what we're looking to do is one of the accounts that we cleaned out is one of the wastewater disbursements no longer used. We will retitle an operating fund, but operating fund number 2 is going to transfer $550,000. The taxes that are being paid into that fund. Mm-hmm. So that'll so you'll see it in that account, but it'll tell us if we're going to be operating, if we're going through our expenses and revenues. As we get closer to May, we may have to tighten our belt even more. But Mayor and Alderman, I'm trying to prepare you, should you have to pay it back for something instead of 5. Okay? Now again, we'll discuss that more information more finance. But at least I wanted to do this. I think there's people like you that made that comment and it took you out. I didn't get that confirmation until afterwards. And very specifically, I would authorize banker to renew the
Alderman Graham?
June 2026 for Royal Street. When we're talking about that date, is that the date of first shovel hitting ground, or is that a paperwork date, or what? I'm sorry, what?
We need to let the contract out by the not completion.
Okay, so that's a request for bid date?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's not a completion date. We need to have all the plans and gone through the procurement, which means we're 30% now on royalty. We don't have all the plans completed. Some folks have already made open elections for that 30%. I don't have the surveys. A lot of it's proprietary. MRB did a lot of conversation I've had with Solomon Thomas, that should they get the goal of this becoming May, that they will get to those environmentals and get that, they put whatever man hours they need to on completing the plan so we can meet that timeline.
So in reality, and I get it, a lot of things need to happen between now and then. But as it stands right now, if everything went according to plan, first shovels in ground, what, September, October timeframe?
Yes,
Of
yeah,
26.
mobilization period, so you can talk to me within 30 to 60 days.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And remember, if you don't have the funds, we will have to talk about debt issues.
Yeah.
Very in May and the first part of the next fiscal year. If not, we will not be able to.
Okay. I mean, it kind of goes without saying, I think you take a look at that Royal Street project, that is main effort in terms of what's going on. I mean, that road's got to get squared away based off of what's going to be happening there in the foreseeable future. Additionally, how much was in the Pace Park or in the playground account roughly, and what is it getting retitled to?
The all those who playground only had $200.
Okay.
It didn't have and we had paid off.
Yeah.
And we in Memphis and Maryland that they take the parking lot and we just had the documentation so they were trying to take out the Mississippi Lighting District just name it operating street. They have an operating account. And so these are taking your operating funds, it's the revenue coming in.
Not sharpshooter, but I thought operating account number 2 was going to be what we were going to hold all that tax money. Or are both items going in there?
The escrow account went into the all of those. Okay, so that's an escrow.
Okay.
So that's where those come. The $550,000 out of the revenue, that's going to be operating.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, the escrow account is not an operating, so it's segregated and
And those, even though it's a couple of $100, that is, I'm trying to get at what purpose is that, are those restricted funds, even though it's a couple of $100, what is that getting re-rolled to or whatever?
About
the Pace Park money.
Yeah, the Pace Park, all of those who playground only had a couple of $100. It didn't have much of anything in it.
Yeah, and
so
that's,
we just needed to reconcile it and put that account. Maybe it'll general fund, elected.
okay, so it's moved over to general fund.
Yes.
Got it. I understand now. Pardon me for the confusion. That's all I have. Thanks.
Alderman Hurst? No question. Alderman McDonald?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Mr. Del Rosa, just answers that I don't need right now, just general questions for my need to know. When it comes to everybody who pays their property taxes for this year as you're discussing, any household who, for whatever reason, paid their taxes late and had to pay a late fee, this is my question. It's more two-part. One, are those late fees shareable? Do we get a portion of those late fees based on the village? Is my first question. And the next question would be, if we do get a portion of those late fees, if we have to give money back to our members of our community based on the vote, are they going to get part of those late fees back as well? Because is it prorated in that aspect?
I understand it's prorated.
Yes, sir.
How it was explained to me.
Yes, sir.
Because they won't really have a hard number until those that pay late.
Yeah.
The prorate and they get refunded.
That's all I need to know. Thank you for the answers. No other questions, Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem Bell. Thank you, sir. Okay, Mr. Del Rosa, I have a couple of questions. You mentioned some, I think we discussed some of this with Dr. Smith and all that, but some of these agreements that we're coming to, and really anything that we do towards documentation. Do we not send everything, any sort of documentation that we, whatever we trying to come to, agreement, it's an ordinance, whatever the case is, all of that is funneled through our attorney, correct? Everything. Ordinances, all that, everything is bounced off to make sure that we're not in violation of anything before they say, yep, this is good to go.
Every ordinance, every agreement.
So it's not like we sit back here in the office and try to pick
how can we mess with people today, and let's just get our crayons out and draw up some ordinances. Like, we have attorneys who specialize in that type of law to oversee those type of things, correct? That's all I got. Any public comments for anything he had to give? Nope. What? I can't speak to that. I can tell you what he's doing.
I didn't hear a year.
There you go. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Next is item 6, discussion of possible action. A, discuss and possible action on the interlocal agreement between the Village of Salado Board of Aldermen and the Salado Independent School District Board of Trustees regarding the Texas Department of Transportation grant award for the construction of cost of installing a shared use path, the sidewalk, along Williams Road between FM 2484 and West Village Road.
And this is Dr. Smith is going to approach that.
Come on up, Dr. Smith.
Hey, good evening, Board of Aldermen. Hey, I just wanted to say thank you to your administration, first of all, for getting this grant, because this is something that's phenomenal for our school district, for our community together, because having a 10-foot shared use path from Williams Road, from 2484 all the way to the Sonic meets two of the three things that we really focus on as a school district. As a school district, we think about student achievement, we think about student safety, we think about physical responsibility for taxpayer dollars. And so when we saw that this grant and the sidewalk was coming to Salado, we were very excited about it. In fact, we met with your engineer, Solomon Thomas, to give the village some right-of-way through that corner of Williams Road so that the sidewalk would meet the standards of their design. During the process of our construction of the stadium, it became apparent that, yes, we're going to have to add this shared use path through the stadium site, which made sense because as one of the ordinances, there's a sidewalk responsibility when you make a development within the village. And so at that point in time, it became very obvious that we need to partner with you all to make sure that this happens for both the school district and for the community as a whole. Back on January the 26th, we presented the same memorandum of agreement to our Board of Trustees with the understanding that we can fund this project and that we can contribute the funds needed to match as this project happens, and then once the project is complete, the excess funds will come back to the school district so we can again use that for the intended purposes from our bond program. And one thing you'll notice if you look through the agreement is that all in all it's going to cost about $150,000 to put this shared use path in for the entire length of the project. That's the total overall cost that's still outstanding. As a school district, we look at it and we say, how much would it cost us to put that sidewalk down the side of Williams Road just on the stadium site that we would have been required to by village ordinances? And it's a very similar cost. And so for not a significant amount of more money, we can partner with the village and make this shared use path if the Board of Aldermen are in agreement with this arrangement.
And just for clarification, this is something that we were talking about doing anyway, and then of course we have the issue with the budget and all that. This is very mutually beneficial in that they're going to pay the cost of the sidewalk, and then once we get the funding back from TxDOT, we just reimburse them.
Exactly. And according to his opinion, within 10 days after we pulled up the project.
Yeah.
It was a last minute change, and we agreed. So, and again, this is reviewed by our legal counsel, and I know that whatever happens on that side, but this has been already taken through.
Alderman Graham?
No questions.
Alderman Hurst?
No question.
Alderman McDonald?
No questions, Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem?
I got a question about the total cost.
Yes, sir.
So when I read section 2 of the financial contribution, I see that Salado ISD is positive $672,000 change into. So when I read the 20% backing fund of 123 and 33, and trying to figure out what is the coupon and what am I missing?
The TikTok is not reimbursed for design or environment. So a lot of that you've already paid up front. How do you operate it? Right? It's been purchased. How do you do it?
That's the 13,978 and 10,000. That's 23,000. So I'm still a good 37,000.
So there were some funds that we had to pay. We had to pay the design fees for the state of Texas as part of this grant as well. So you don't get reimbursed back on those. In the big scheme of things, we looked at 675,000, roughly 673,000, some change there. And at the end of the project, we would anticipate that there would be about $525,000 that would come back after it was all said and done. So yes, that math doesn't necessarily add up exactly to 20%, but it's the 20% match plus the associated fees that would make this project go to fruition.
Yeah, and this is what we're hoping we're a little bit better off. These were based on
These are liberal projections. I'm fine with them.
Yeah, and they are they're OPC.
Okay. Okay. So I just want to be clear. I wanted to understand how the money was being spent. The other question I had was of any of the money being contributed to this school district coming out of your bonding money, is it supplying to the school or is it coming out of your
Great question, Mayor Pro Tem. So this is bond money that we're using in this, and it needs to be bond money because this is going towards a bond project. So the portion of that we're paying is equal to what we would have spent on the sidewalk for the portion of our project.
back
So
to your comment?
And that was one of the first questions, whether those bond money could be utilized in projects that wasn't necessarily there. And this is some of the stuff. The OPC gives us a certain amount when we let it out. What we're hoping is that the construction costs will actually come less because the school district's already under construction and they have at least maybe possibly up to 3 different contractors that we bid on it. And because the mobilization we make,
You're already there.
we're already there. So that is what we're hoping that it may be less than that.
I'm fine with everything. I just would like to see it. I mean, we're going to see a resolution later. That's all fine and good, but I know you'll put together a spreadsheet to decide this specifically. So we have something to track.
appreciate y'all very much.
And again, these funds will be kept segregated. So that way we can reconcile and so that people be able to exactly how they think to be spent and be able to contact them.
All right, any public comments on this? No? What? Tim, can you skateboard? Can you?
Tim, I'm dying to see you skateboard on that sidewalk.
Okay, if there are no further questions and no public comments, I'll open it up.
I make a motion that we accept the interlocal agreement and sign as written.
Motion made by Alderman Graham to approve the interlocal agreement as presented and seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Bell. Any further discussion? Question called by Alderman Hurst. All in favor of approving the interlocal agreement between the Village of Salado Board of Aldermen? Yeah, I did. All in favor of approving the interlocal agreement between the Village of Salado Board of Aldermen and the Salado Independent School District Board of Trustees? For the contract as presented, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? 4-0, Mr. De La Rosa. Item B, discussion of possible action on issuing it. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Discussion and possible action on issuing an event permit for proposed 2025 Serena Fest to be held on October 4th, 2025 at Pace Park, including the closing of Pace Park Road. Who's that? You or is that?
Okay, good. Okay, we've had a request to have Serena Fest on October 4th, 2025. There's an email that you'll see from Dr. Dankert, and then the application made by Teresa Howard. Back in time, you might notice that it came in July of last year. I think they're holding things. I'm not real big on reserving parklands that I may or may not be operating, so you're down the road or know what the occupancy. As you get close to the next time, you guys start looking at these things. So you'll see that they're asking full use of the park, which means road, like close the roadway, use it for community events. Alcohol sales in the park. So I looked up ordinance number 2022-3, and in the 5th page of this, the section 3, letter P of the fall. Consumption of alcohol during special events, activities, and public apartments, talking about parks, is okay with the prior written village approval. It can be done by the ordinance. And then what police officers do require is so how many. I think that's the read. If you're going to require that, you can tell us. If you do move forward to approve an event permit or special event permit, you would have to determine whether you're going to have alcohol sales, and then you have to maybe disclose it or give them some sales tax if it's not. But you would have to decide that to approve it. And the police officers to be logistics worked out with the police chief for a public safety response. Police, fire, EMS. So I think the one last October, a lot of kids, it's sustainable for our children and our community, and it's sports, and traffic is changing. So
Alderman Graham,
No questions.
Alderman Hurst, Alderman McDonald.
Yes, Mayor, I do have a question. Actually, can I ask, Chief, did we cover security last year by chance, or were we down there to purview on how many officers we may need? Yes, sir. Was it just you, Chief, or was it you and another officer by chance, or is it? Sure. Right on. Thank you, Chief. No other questions, Mayor. Thank you.
Mayor Putzendale.
So the request for alcohol or is it not?
alcohol, allow alcohol sales in the park if it is.
Even though last year they didn't have.
Yeah, last year they didn't have it. They didn't have very many sponsors or any sponsors, and so there was no way to support that nonprofit to continue that. So I would imagine that they would have vendors, that they would have some type of fees for those vendors, alcohol sales, and maybe some agreement to get some type of equation from that. I think they did that. They did that in 2023, right? So I don't have a lot of detail, but some of the logistics is to be approving the agreement. You can put some conditions so we can get back to the business. Everything should be good to say you work with them with it. You're looking for it. It's very simple. It doesn't give a lot of detail. So if you've seen it in the past, you're kind of going to the same destination that I am.
I think that this past year's event, they did not, I think by design, they didn't see, it was a free event. It was, they didn't even sell anything. There were no vendors that were set up. I think the only money that would have exchanged hands would have been if people made donations, but also they did have like a youth entrepreneur fair kind of set up, and they were allowed to sell their products. But other than that, everything that they provided for that festival was free of charge, and they didn't raise any money for that. 2023, there were quite a few vendors, and they did do beer sales, and I think wine, and they did make some money on that. Yeah. So yeah, it's like people covered the alcohol sales, and they donated all the proceeds back to legacy once they're built.
That's all I got. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Any public comments on this? Nope. All right. Then I will open it up for a motion.
Make a motion to approve the event permit proposal from 2025 student fest on 4 October in First Park. Including the road, street, road, and I'll add on with the state of that.
Motion made by Alderman Hurst to approve as presented.
Number two,
Sorry.
complete, yes,
No.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yes, and we can add on the student business.
Can the chief make that determination?
Yes.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman McDonald. Any further discussion? They will. He said that he told us.
Something like one off for me for the 160 people, 150 over, something like that.
But they may also be able to get police officers that volunteer. You are responsible for some of those. We need to be in charge, correct? That's why I made a mistake. Thank you. So, and this will require, existing events, the transaction of the revenue that, they provided, like grants for the Connecticut, for the events. So this is their, on our property. That's what I need.
Hey, there's a motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Question called by Mayor Pro Tem Bell. All in favor of approving or issuing an event permit for proposed 2025 Serena Fest as presented, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? 4-0, Mr. Douglas. C, public hearing. Possible action on zoning 2.085 acres as local retail zoning district owned by Kelts International LLC, property known as Salado Center Development located northwest of the intersection of FM 2484 and IH 35. Mrs. Elisa.
Good
Evening.
The zoning public notice went out in the village newspaper. It was actually published on January 9th. Letters of notification and mailed out January 9th as well. And that one is the property owners within 300 feet of the said property. The village received no comments for or against the zoning matter. And this was presented to the zoning commission and they recommended approval on Tuesday, January 28th, and the vote was approved.
Okay. All right, so it is 7:24. Public hearing. I'll take comments on this item now. Anybody? No? Okay. And we'll close the public hearing at 7:24. Item D, discussion of possible action on approving ordinance number 2025-06, an ordinance of the Village of Salado, Texas, adopting zoning for the Salado Center development pursuant to the zoning ordinance of the Village of Salado and revising the official zoning map in accordance therewith and providing for the following findings of fact: a savings clause, severability, repealer, effective date, and proper notice and meeting. Ms. Pence.
So we're moving forward with that, staff is recommending approval for ordinance number 2025 for adopting the zoning of local resources for development and also authorizing revising the map. The reason being is this is the 2.0 is April. I think the community boundary adjustment agreement with the city of Franklin. Later, and the rest of the property at the Salado Senior Development has already been zoned local retail. And that was actually, that zoning ordinance was in 2022 and December 15th.
All right, thank you. Alderman Graham.
So we're just bringing that annex portion in, and that's what's making this ordinance what it is. Got it. No further questions.
Alderman Hurst.
No question.
Alderman McDonald.
No questions, Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem Bell. Peppermint motion.
No, I like to,
He spelled pumpkin spice wrong. Any public comments on this? Nope. All right, I'll open this up for a motion.
I make a motion, we approve the board of 2025.
Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Bell to approve as presented. Second by Alderman Hurst. Any further discussion?
Question.
Question called by Alderman Graham. All in favor of approving ordinance number 2025 TAC 06 as presented, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? 4-0. E, public hearing. Possible action on zoning 7.109 acres as local retail zoning district property located at 1991 North Stagecoach Road, Salado, Texas. Owned by Salado Hospitality Investments, LLC, the site of the Holiday Inn Express. Yolanda or Vince?
Mayor. Against the pronouncing the zoning public notice, which was in the village newspaper on January the 9th. Letters of notification were mailed on January the 9th as well to the property owners and 300 feet of the property. We actually extended that and then we sent it out to a few more folks that were just beyond that boundary because we thought that they were close enough that we needed to go ahead and get them in there. The village received no comments for or against this zoning matter, and this was presented to the Planning and Zoning Commission on Tuesday, January the 28th, and the commission did recommend approval to the Board of Aldermen with a vote.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. 7:28. I'll open it up for public hearing. Anybody? Get up, make comments. Nope. All right. We'll close it at 7:28. Next item is F, discussion and possible action on approving ordinance number 2025 TAC 07, an ordinance adopting zoning for the hereinafter described territory pursuant to the zoning ordinances of the Village of Salado, revising the official zoning map in accordance therewith, and providing for the following findings of facts: savings clause, severability, repealer, effective date, and proper notice and meeting. Ms. Pence.
Mayor, thank you. As you recall, Mayor and Alderman, we posted an invitation on the December 30th to discuss property at Village. With that new invitation, we are now here to stay in the property. We are recommending property known as the Holiday Inn Express, owned by Salado.
Thank you, ma'am. And Alderman Graham.
No questions.
Alderman Hurst. No questions. Alderman McDonald.
No questions.
Mayor Pro Tem Bell. Any public comments? Anybody else? No? Yeah. Anything to add?
That's not relevant. You don't have a- it's just
And there's no negative impact to this information either, correct? That was-
All right, if there are no more comments and the board has no questions, then I'll open it up for motion.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve as discussed 2025-07 is written.
Motion made by Alderman McDonald to approve ordinance number 2025-07 as presented.
Second.
Second by Alderman Graham. Any further discussion? Question called by Alderman Hurst. All in favor of approval of ordinance number 2025-07 as presented, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? Also 4-0, Mr. De La Rosa. Discussion and possible action on accepting the Salado Police Department 2024 annual report. Chief Fields, how are you? All right.
Mayor, members of the board, Texas Code of Criminal Procedures requires that the chief of police present the racial profiling report to the governing body prior to the end of March. Rather than just present you with the racial profiling report, I actually wanted to do a complete annual report. If you were on the board last year, you remember I did that last year as well. But my annual reports always start with a message from the chief. Last year we talked about servant leadership, servant guardianship, and this year my main focus was community police. Community policing is not just a strategy, it represents our commitment to relationships with our residents. By working collaboratively with the community, we aim to identify and address the unique challenges that we face. This approach allows us to tailor our services to better meet the needs of the community while still ensuring community safety. It goes on a little bit more, but we'll go over to page 3. Page 3 has the organizational chart. One of the things that I'm pretty proud of is even with the fluctuation of the number of officers that we've had, we've been able to maintain 24-hour coverage throughout the whole time. And you can see here we have a red team and a blue team. 2 officers on red days, correctly, well, 1 officer on red days, 1 officer on blue days, 1 officer on red nights, 1 officer on blue nights, and then we have a floating shift or a swing shift. If you remember from my monthly reports, usually our spike in calls for service happens around the 3 p.m. hour. The swing shifts come in at 2 p.m. That allows us to have a little extra coverage whenever we have those higher than normal call volume. Under patrol operations, we did respond to 5,735 calls for service last year. That's an average of 15.7 calls for service a day. traffic safety. 1,160 total traffic stops were conducted, 470 citations were issued, 690 warnings were given for an enforcement rate of 40.5. We did respond to 329 crashes. The majority of our citations that were issued were for speeding, 174, and locations of stops, 820 of them were on Village Street. They were actually down here, rather than up on the highway in other locations. You'll see the breakdown of the top 5 calls for service for police activity. And you'll notice that there's a different number in that. That's 1,241 for traffic stops. That's what we get from the Bell County Communications Center. I will let you know that there is a disparity in there, and the reason there is a disparity in there is because a lot of the things that we call on the radio, they'll just put down as traffic stops. We have no control over that. I can tell you that personally, I saw a suspicious vehicle in the cemetery, went in, and because I activated my overhead lights and tried to determine what this individual was doing in our cemetery, Bell County Communications is going to put that down as traffic. So on the reports that I get from them, it's going to say we had a little more traffic stops than we actually conducted. You'll look down at the bottom of that particular page. That's one of the reports I get from the Bell County Communications Center. I'd like to direct you to the second from the far right. That is our response time, and that's done in seconds. Priority 1, 287 seconds, which is 4 minutes, 47 seconds on a priority 1 call for service. That's pretty good time. The highest being a priority 3, 6 minutes and 41 seconds. So at bare minimum, when somebody dials 911, we're there within 7 minutes, 6 minutes and 41 seconds. You'll also notice on that page, locations for calls. Now, I did not put in any particular residences. I just wanted to use business locations so you can know that where we have been spending the majority of our time. And if you'll notice that on there, 391 calls for service on I-35. I have reiterated with the Bell County Communications Center that Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 37, specifically 3.51, specifically states that DPS has primary jurisdiction on the interstate, and when that interstate runs through a town of less than 50,000 residents. So as far as I'm concerned, that's the DPS's job, and we're trying to get them to step up and take a little bit more of that responsibility. Now, there are times when there are not troopers available, so we do get up there and we assist. But we are still trying to work that out. And yes, sir.
When you make those stops on the cemetery, that still be I-35.
No, sir. I-35 only counts as the main lanes of I-35, both north and southbound. We have the responsibility of pushing them.
What would that be under? Would that be under?
Yes, sir. The next page is the actual racial profiling report submitted to the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement on January the 7th, 2025. A couple of things I'd like to point out here. First and foremost, force used during the traffic stop. 1,159 of our 1,160 traffic stops were accomplished without the use of force. We did have one incident where we did have to use force, and that force was minor grappling to get an individual to step out of the car. 470 of our stops resulted in citations. 516 of our stops resulted in a written warning. 171 resulted in a verbal warning. We did conduct vehicle searches on 27 of the 1,160 traffic stops. During that vehicle search, drugs or drug contraband was found in 12 of those, and the other is other forms of contraband that were found during those traffic stops. 17 of those 27 traffic stops were actually conducted due to probable cause. Officer observed contraband in plain sight and/or smelled an odor associated with an alcoholic beverage or an odor associated with burnt marijuana coming from the vehicle. We knew probable cause to conduct that search. The other 10 were on search incident to arrest, meaning the driver was arrested for driving while license invalid, and we conducted a search of the vehicle incident to that arrest. Any questions on the racial profiling report? And then the next couple of pages, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. It starts off with awards and recognition. And you see, as we saw earlier today, Officer Curtin's face. Below that, we have the 3 new officers that actually started this year. And then the last 2 pages I dedicated to a year in review. If you'll notice, we had quite a busy year. Started with the world famous Clydesdale coming down Main Street. April, we had the eclipse that brought approximately 200,000 visitors to the area. I'll tell you the nicest thing I remember about that day is that I was driving through the neighborhoods and saw neighbors standing in the front yard talking to each other, sitting in lawn chairs and watching. That was a good feeling. In July, I was approached by Ms. Hill from Barrel Brewery. She asked what type of equipment the police department needed. She would like to do a fundraiser to assist us in getting that equipment. There could have been, I sat down and talked to my team. There was a couple of suggestions. Hey, we need this. Hey, we need that. But those were for us. When I made the decision for the AEDs, that's for our residents. Those are so that we can provide life-saving measures to our residents. So she put together a 5K. During that 5K, over 300 participants come to town, raised $3,100 so that we could purchase AEDs to place in our patrol car. Next page starts off with the popsicle patrol. One of the officers' favorite things to do is that popsicle patrol. I can tell you that we had so much fun going down to the park, hitting the sirens and watching the kids come up like we did the ice cream truck. It was absolutely fun. We went through 5 cases of popsicles. Each case has 200 popsicles in it. So between May and October of last year, we handed out 1,000 popsicles. I'm really proud of what we did for National Night Out as well. We had over approximately 400 people there. It was a great turnout. Everybody that I talked to had a great time, and we're looking at trying to make it bigger and better this year. Same with the Halloween. We attended 2 trunk retreats, one at the United Methodist Church, and the other was at the Candy Trail on Main Street. During that time, one of our CHIPS members, Bill Taft, provided us with candy, and we passed out over 30 cases of full-size candy. It was a great time. Kids couldn't ask for anything else. Kids loved it. We were the hit of the night whenever they started running around going, "Hey, they got large candy bars down here." And then if you're older than and then one of the things that I'm proud of, I've been involved with the Tree of Angels organization for several years. I thought I was going to be missing out on the Tree of Angels when I left Elton and came down here. However, they reached out and wanted us to participate. This is the second year that I've participated in the Tree of Angels. It's a great honor to do that. So that's our annual report. If you have any questions, I'd love to answer.
Alderman Graham?
No question, just one comment. I really feel like our police department shares a special relationship with our community, and that is in no small part with the way that you approach your profession. So thank you for what you do, and look forward to another good year.
Alderman Hurst?
No, thank you, and your office is good.
Alderman McDonald?
Always appreciate. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Bell? Chief Rasta. All right, any public comments on the presentation? No? All right, then I will open it up for a motion. The agenda item is discussion and possible action on accepting the Salado Police Department 2024 annual report.
Second.
Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Bell to accept as presented, seconded by Alderman Graham. Any further discussion?
Question.
Question called by Alderman McDonald. All in favor of approving the Salado Police Department 2024 annual report as presented, say yes.
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 Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? 4-0, Mr. De La Rosa. Chief Fields, thank you very much. We appreciate that. Discussion and possible action on approving a joint resolution for joint election with the Board of Trustees for the Salado Independent School District, the Board of Trustees for the Salado Public Library District, the Board of Aldermen for the Village of Salado, and the Board of Trustees for the Bell County Emergency Services District Number 1 to enter into a joint contract for election on May 3rd, 2025. Mr. De La Rosa?
Okay. Mayor and Alderman, this was prepared by the school district, talking about the I've had us recently review it. So you'll see right under election day, the next one, each organization will be responsible for 1/4 recycling and supplies equipment for early voting and election day. I think that's important. There's 4 partners, so the Bell County ESC number 1 team have to do this after our voting. But we're recommending approval.
And is it appropriate to state what it is with the ESD and talk about that? So we just found this out. I got a phone call from Chief Ron's, I think it was earlier this week, late last week. They were under the impression that we were already aware of this, and we were not. They are going after 1 cent that they're putting on the ballot for the voters to approve for the ESD to obtain 1 cent of the tax rate within the fire department district, which is 116, 117 square miles. It'll be within the village limits, but also in our some of it's in our east. It's in their 117 or 116 square mile district. That's what their I guess proposition is. Well, that's the ad valorem. They're at 9 point something cents, but they want to get I think it's 1 cent of the sales tax. Sales tax. Yeah. They're not required to go back to the voters. So they've already they approved at the maximum rate for the voters for the 10 cents per $100. This is just to get more tax revenue from sales tax. Yeah. Alderman, what do you have a question?
Yeah. So they would get 1 cent of the sales tax. That is, I guess what I'm saying is, if they got 1 cent of the sales tax, that would mean that somebody else is not getting that 1 cent, right? Or are we increasing the sales tax?
We're not increasing the sales tax.
No, the county sales tax is low, so it will go up there. It shouldn't affect our tax too. So, generally what we do is ESP and other districts compete for the sales tax. So the cities that create new sort of development districts outside of the city limits in the EPJ, you get part of that money. So, it's a good move. I didn't realize what they were doing.
Yeah, well, I didn't know either.
Okay, that makes sense to me now. I get it. I'm good.
All right. Alderman Hurst? No question. Alderman McDonald?
No questions at this time.
Mayor Pro Tem Bell? All right. Any public comments on this? All right. If there are no further comments, then I will open this up for a motion. Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Bell to approve as presented and seconded by Alderman Hurst. Any further discussion?
Question.
Question called by Alderman McDonald. All in favor of approving the joint election as presented, say yes.
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 Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? 4-0, Mr. De La Rosa. Did I skip ahead here? No, I did not.
6 ayes.
Discussion of possible action on approving ordinance number 2025, TAC 01, TAC A, amending an ordinance of the Village of Salado, Texas, calling a general election for the purpose of electing 3 aldermen on the Village of Salado Board of Aldermen to be held jointly with a special election to be with the general election on May 3rd, 2025, to determine whether to reduce the tax rate adopted by the Board of Aldermen for the current year to the voter approval rate, establishing rules and regulations for conducting such elections, providing for notice of such election, and providing for findings of fact, severability, repealer, effective date, and proper notice and hearing. Mr. Gillis.
Okay, this ordinance amends the original ordinance number 2025-01. That's what the other committee. What I did is I highlighted the areas that in this ordinance, what we in the approach with the Bell County Emergency Service District number 1B. We're recommending approval. This is for the special election for the district and the general election.
Alderman Graham?
No questions.
Alderman Hurst?
No question.
Alderman McDonald?
No questions.
Mayor Pro Tem Bell? Any public comments? Nope. All right, I'll open the floor for a motion. Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Bell to approve ordinance number 2025, TAC 01, TAC A as presented.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman McDonald. Any further discussion? Question called by Alderman Hurst. All in favor of approving ordinance number 2025, TAC 01, TAC Alpha as presented, specify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? 4-0, Mr. De La Rosa. J, discussion and possible action on approving a 30-day leave of absence request from City Secretary Deborah Bean.
Okay, pretty straightforward. City Secretary requested some time off with this committee. I'm recommending approval and policy.
Alderman Graham.
No questions.
Alderman Hurst. No question. Alderman McDonald.
No questions.
Mayor Pro Tem Bell. Any public comments? Okay. Open it up for motion.
Make a motion that we approve the 30-day leave of absence. Deborah Bean.
Motion made to approve Ms. Bean's 30-day leave of absence. Seconded by Alderman Hurst. Any further discussion?
Question.
Question called by Alderman McDonald. All in favor of approving 30-day leave of absence request from City Secretary Deborah Bean, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? 4-0, Mr. De La Rosa. Okay, discussion of possible action on approving the appointment of Letitia Gona as assistant court clerk and permit clerk, and Teresa Spinks as assistant city secretary and administrative assistant. Mr. De La Rosa?
Okay, what I'm recommending is, this will not be a temporary recommendation, this is more permanent, but based on the city secretary being out of the office, there is an ordinance that was created some years early on, 2001 or so, the office of the city secretary, and then it's type in city. But since she is out, I'm asking if there is administrative staff that can help me with this. So I'm recommending that Teresa Spinks be the assistant city secretary. She's got secretary and administrative experience, and also, she has she's going to help with a lot of the paperwork, including water billing, with stuff. So, and Letitia Gona would be the assistant court clerk. The city secretary for general office is generally the court administrator. Court clerk is the city secretary. And this might specifically in the ordinance that is very common practice for. So, if they're not being here, and Ms. Gona already does court clerk, which is, and court clerk and city secretary is generally hired. The way I read the ordinance is with consent. He was not a secretary, he makes the appointment. So I'm going to assume it. My recommendation is to keep staff to put it through the floor.
Alderman Graham?
Any additional certifications from an official standpoint required for either position?
No, the city secretary doesn't require any candidates. This is going to be more part-time position. Ms. Garuna's already taken, we sent her to Portland School earlier in the year. She is not more than 3 hours taking a webinar and she'll have her entry-level Portland certification. They've taken these roles, separately for a degree to take these roles without any additional compensation. We will pick that up if we get beyond the nose.
Yeah. That's all I have.
Alderman Hurst.
Oh, no questions, you answered.
Alderman McDonald.
No questions, Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem Bell. Any public comments? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve 6A as written.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Hurst to approve item 6K as presented, seconded by Alderman Graham. Any further discussion?
Question.
Question called by Alderman McDonald. All in favor of approving the appointment of Letitia Gona as Assistant Court Clerk and Permit Clerk and Teresa Spinks as Assistant City Secretary and Administrative Assistant, say yes.
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 Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? 4-0, Mr. De La Rosa. Discussion and possible action on amending the Village of Salado Village Administrator Employment Agreement. Mr. De La Rosa.
Okay, you might recall that when I was hired, it was an initial 1-year agreement. This is what I thought you saw it. The years didn't match up that way. So when you go to the second thing, it continued that not really making much sense. So I did bring this up sometime in October, thinking that we didn't have to discuss conversations with some of the individuals that, well, yeah, I think it's going to be saying that this is looking. So we put something together. So you'll see for transparency purposes, I think it reference, they're all in there. You'll see the term section 2, which is like second page. Look, when it comes to city managers, and when I interview, I agreed on a 1 year to give you an opportunity to get to know me. So we're beyond that. So generally, you hire either city administrators and city managers in any other place. But generally start off on 3 years. The reason most city managers have to work 2 years at a place to meet some code of ethics requirements and remember the city managers association or the International City County Management Association, which I mean the code. That doesn't mean that I can only stay 2 years at the governing body teaching their life. So that's how you get out of your obligation sometimes. But what I did is I'm offering a 3-year extension with 2 1-year terms, and it's hard, honestly. 2 1-year terms is not very practical. Most candidates. So I'm okay to the end of the year according to the agreement that we initially entered. Okay. And that'll help me get you past your financial difficulties with the medicine and the prejudice. Let's start with the another 3-year term. I would work for, let's say that everything works well, generally for 2 more years after that. And then I start looking in 30s, not knowing what they're going to do. But if you're going to keep me at least 6 months before the end of 2028, you have to let me know whether you're interested in keeping me. I stop my search. Because remember, city managers look for jobs when they're in majority, in council majority. It happens in May or November. So somebody like me can't quit or get terminated and find a job in a month or 2 months. It takes 6 months time. That's why I asked for 3 years. For every 3 year means I'm working 2 years beside it, having to worry about and that's why you'll see when we get to the end, there's 2 parts. There can be termination under 2 types of termination with cost and termination without cost. Termination without cost can generally happen when there's a change in majority. Says, hey, we want our own guy. Then we can want to be again. It takes 9 months. That's why I'm asking for 9 months. The industry is anywhere between 6 months and 1 year. The more tenure you get, you start looking at 1 year. If you look at my last agreement with my last employer, it was like 9 months. kind of what I'm used to. It's kind of what most of us are looking for. Okay? And you'll notice that on page 4, section 6, I'm asking that you follow the same performance evaluation form that we did and I did in my first 90 or 100 days here. It's a standard form from the International City County Management Association that is used between February 1 and the end of March of 3 years. I think those are the big changes. You can certainly go through every page, ask any questions. And again, it's big business.
And I want to add to the just the board's information. I've had conversations with our attorney Joshua Katz, and obviously he's the one that drafted this agreement. He's kind of echoing Mr. Delos' sentiments on the wording of it and the time structuring and all that. So it's something that's pretty standard. So Alderman Graham, do you have any questions?
No, I'm happy with it.
Alderman Hurst, Alderman McDonald.
I have a question just for reference. Mr. De La Rosa, can you tell me page and paragraph where the evaluation, who's performing that evaluation, just so I can compare?
The evaluation, it would be conducted by every one of the elected officials.
Is that an individual event or is that at a group event? What is that?
Generally, what I do is I send a form to you. That's a standard form, like the contract is, it's on the 4th page, section 6, performance evaluation.
Is it basically the same form that Bert and I filled out and everybody else kind of hand waved?
Yeah. And there's 2 thoughts to evaluation. Some cities, they have city managers, where they're the chief executive, which is a council manager from a government. Evaluation may or may not be in writing. A lot of cities believe that if you're a CEO, you don't put it in writing. You talk to you privately, or you fire you. So, in city administrators, it's a very common, I'm going to say this evaluation. So, as you saw, some elected officials refuse to fill one out, and that's certainly within their license. Certainly, you have that opportunity. So, I will be sending out that form to you soon, so we can have a good you see what's that?
Thank you, Mr. De La Rosa.
Mayor Pro Tem Bell.
The one thing that I see in here is compensation of this.
Yes, no, the compensation wasn't in there.
It is. It's on the same page.
Well, it is, and it did. Well, it is, but it didn't change. Like what we were doing. It is
Page 4, section 5.
Yeah, it's right above section 5 salary. Yeah. Again, I didn't make any changes. You're not in that financial position for me to be able to negotiate with you. So I want to tell you that I am very happy to be serving you, to represent you, to advocate for you, not only for the elected officials, but for our constituents. I listen to everything, but I don't get swayed by local money. I do things because I think it's the best thing for the community overall. I want to continue serving you. If it was, Alderman Graham, you and I negotiated my person, if it was about money, I wouldn't have been here. I have served cities for 38 years as a legislator. Yeah. I've had a good career. So I am trying to give back to you. I certainly believe that that I could make more of it, but it's just that I live 20 miles away. Okay, so we work well for you, work well for me. Should someday I decide that it's time for me to kind of move on, or you got something to be ahead of, you're going to have to compensate me. Right? So, and the point is sometimes it's just, and if you replace me, you would have to put people in and do it. Already retired one, I'm enjoying life, and I'm enjoying what I do today. And I enjoy that, what I do, working on economic development, working on community development, working on your ordinances. But I don't have a good disposition. I just know to find it, overall. So I'm very much all fiction. When would be the expected? Well, basically, if approved tonight, if it's approved tonight, it continues. It's just it's a continuation. Yes.
It's an amendment from the existing contract. Yeah.
Generally, you might recall when I interviewed for some of you, I spent 7 to 5 months at my last place of employment. I had 4 contracts and I still had to be in it. It wasn't because it was 14 contracts. The first one was a year. It's 1 year at risk, or I'm going to take it. Most places it's institutions. Give it Liberty Hill, give it Jonestown, give it San Diego. And the reason being is I like to show my work. Mm-hmm. And then you'll come to the realization somewhere that you need to try to keep it. So I'm hoping that happens someday in the future because it's not exciting. I just don't want to have to worry about something.
Okay. And then I'll add, one, I wouldn't be able to do the things that I do. We, as the board, wouldn't be able to do the things that we've accomplished to this point since the last election. And despite some of the public comments tonight, I do have conversations with citizens on a daily basis and local business owners, and across the board, a huge majority of them feel the same. They're happy to have you here. They're happy with the way that you conduct yourself and the way that you're open and available to people that want to walk in here. And they know you're busy, but probably the first 6-8 months we're here is a revolving door of people wanting to come in here and visit, and you always stop what you're doing. We'd love to have that conversation, and people took notice. So, any public comments on this? Anybody else? All right. If there's nothing further, then I will open this up for a motion.
Make a motion that we approve and accept the amended contract as presented.
Motion made by Alderman Graham to approve the amended agreement as presented. Seconded by Alderman Hurst. Any further discussion?
Heading up the effort to bring you in was the best damn thing I ever did, and yeah, I'm gonna take all the credit on the way out. Why not?
Anything else? Any further discussion? Question called by Mayor Pro Tem Bell. All in favor of approving the amendment to the village administrator's employment agreement, say yes.
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 Any opposition, say no. Any abstentions? 4-0, Mr. De La Rosa. We appreciate you, sir.
No, thank you very much. Look forward to working more quickly.
And next, item 7, executive session. Convene into executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code sections 551.072 and 551.073 regarding the proposed Mustang Springs Improvement District. Again, I will remind everyone no action will be taken during executive session, and actually there's no action to be taken on this at all tonight, so we're just going to have a conversation. So it is 8:09. We will turn into executive session. 8:57, we are coming out of executive session, reconvening into the regular Board of Aldermen meeting. Next item on the agenda is adjournment. So moved, 8:57.
There you go.